Okay. Hi, everyone. Hi, Kayleigh. How are you?
Hello. Good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for coming on. So
Thanks for
welcome,
having me back.
everyone. Sorry. Welcome, everyone, for On the Flip Side. Every Monday, we have an episode of either mindset or we talk about a real estate topic. And today, we're doing mindset with Kayleigh Kennedy. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me back. I love our chats. I hope lots of people find value from them.
100%. So, what are we going to talk about today?
I think habits is what we should talk about today because habits are the basis of everything. And there's some core habits that I've adopted into my life that have just made everything better. And I know that you've adopted into your life and it's making everything better too. So
Oh,
I thought,
100%.
I thought we could go to there.
Sounds good. And also, even I think you start as you get more and more into mindset. I also think you see the other way around, right? You start seeing what bad habits you've created or things that maybe were useful in the past, but now with growth, you don't really you can release those and get new habits.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting because like our whole life is based on habits, right? Our habitual way of being, our habitual way of thinking, our habitual way of doing. And all of the habits they're in our subconscious mind. So some of them we're not even aware of. And it's really interesting. And we were chatting about this a little bit before. And that's why I think it would be a really cool conversation to talk about habits is, oftentimes like you'll find that things are just going really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to sit back and not a lot of people do this. I like to sit back and actually ask why. Why are things just kind of falling into place, right? Because there's no such thing as luck or coincidence. Everything's happening for us. And, I think a lot of people have heard of the term like flow state, right? And when things are just like flowing, like you feel like you're in a flow state, like, things are happening with ease. And it's like, wow, I'm like not working really hard. I'm just manifesting like crazy. This is awesome. And I experienced that. I experienced that for a couple months. And then I went into the old habit of like doing more, not being more. And it's really interesting because it stems from something. It stems from my paradigm or my belief system. And Diana was talking about the same thing. So I thought, I know we're not the only two people who be listening to this call who had that, like, instead of asking yourself, what is it that I'm doing or how am I being that's creating the results? We go into the like it stems from fear actually in the like, I don't want to lose these results. So I'm going to start working harder instead of like stepping back and actually asking yourself what's producing these results. And usually it's your mindset, it's your frequency, it's your vibration. So I found I went the other way. I started working hard. My results dropped. And I was like, right, because I know it's not about hard work. It's about who I'm being, the energy I'm showing up in. And I had to really shift that around. And I started to ask myself why, which is not something that I'd done in the past when this has happened. And it's happened quite a few times. Started to ask myself, why did I revert back? And I had to pull, like I like to say, it's like pulling the thread back on a belief or on a habit, really. And I noticed that it was stemmed in some fear. It was very interesting. So I've been really studying to learn more about why that is so that I can eliminate it. Because to be honest, I don't know about you, Diana, but I much prefer achieving my goals with ease and working less, right?
Especially when you've experienced it. Because it's funny, even in the past for me, I feel like this happens even a lot with athletes where you feel that flow state where you're just going, and all of a sudden you just get into that flow where everything just is happening easy and it's just happening exactly the way it should be. And I remember at that time, I can't say I ever questioned it or understood it. I mean, I would probably question it, but I just never understood why it happened. I just thought it was like, I was just like in that perfect moment. Whereas now I feel like when it does happen and I fall out of it like that. Like last week, I was very much in it, or 2 weeks ago, in like middle of last week, and then I started falling out of it. At least now I start questioning myself more, like you said, and actually trying to find out like what happened, why am I falling out of that, what's going on, and to get back into that ease, because it is true. It's so nice. I don't know. I love the feeling. It's a really cool feeling to
Yeah.
just, be like, what is, how am I going to do these tasks today? What is the best way to do it? And then it just comes to you, and then you do it. And I can give like a really good example of like one networking event where I, to be honest, didn't think it would benefit me in any way to go to that networking event, because right now I'm in a phase of meeting a lot higher level real estate investors, and this one I knew was going to be more entry level. But for some reason, in the back of my mind was just like, just go. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go. And it happened that I ended up meeting two people that I needed to actually speak to, and like didn't at that time didn't realize I need to speak to them until I saw them. And it was just very interesting because I remember tell it like I knew in the morning, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go. And then during the middle of the day, I'm like, maybe not. Like, what's the benefit of it? You know, like it's probably not gonna be like right now I'm in a different kind of mission, and I need to be talking to certain types of people. And so I just found that situation funny where I came out of it like this was a great conversation. And same thing, I got to help a lot of new real estate investors. We were chatting, helping them, giving some advice and stuff. But I also got to speak to some important people that I needed to speak to with like some of the plans I have going on that people find out in the next couple of weeks, maybe.
I love it. Well, and it's cool. I think you said something really important there. It's like your intuition told you something. And if you hadn't questioned that, you might like, or, if you hadn't questioned like the reasoning that so you're like, sorry, so your intuition told you to go. And then your reasoning mind kicked in and was like, well, these are all the reasons why you shouldn't go. And then you're like, but my intuition said to go. So you decided to go, and it was exactly what you needed. And the truth is, when we're in that like flow state, we don't question our intuition. We trust our intuition. The problem is we have a habit of allowing our reasoning mind to talk us out of doing something. Like, oh, well, I can't do this right now. I don't have the money, even though I know it's going to be, it's going to help me. Or I can't do this right now because it's not really the people that I'm wanting to network with, but it's like, but you don't know why it's coming to you, but it's coming to you. It's coming to you from like a higher power, right? And when you start studying and you get into the habit of studying, and get into the habit of asking yourself questions and getting into the habit of like elevating your frequency, you get new ideas based on that. And it's like your old habitual way of being starts to kind of tear it down. Like that's what, it's happened to me. And I'm really, this time I'm starting to be like, no, I don't want that to happen again. I much prefer to achieve my goals with ease and flow. So instead of the grind. So I need to figure out what in me keeps reverting back. Right. And it's like, it's something in my reasoning mind. It's something that, it's like attacking my intuition for some reason. It's all habits.
It's always the fear, right? There's some fear that's coming into us that's just making us want to take us out of whatever we want, like either bringing in that new habit or listening to our intuition. That's something I've been like I think I feel like I've always had that. But for example, now I like but now I hear it a lot more. Like I think I would say like maybe I would hear it like once or twice a year kind of a thing. Whereas, that feeling that you just know it's happening, or you're doing it, and it's going to happen exactly the right way or whatever it is that you want it to be. I've actually always had that through my life. But again, I was just like, oh, I guess I'm just lucky. That was like, I guess I'm like a lucky person, and that's why these things happen. And I would just leave it at that, where it's once you start reading about like how your mind works and how things happen inside you, it starts actually helping you really understand now, like that, like, oh, it's not luck, it's actually that you're learning to actually listen to yourself.
Mhm.
And even same thing, something that I always notice that, for example, there's people that need to have noise around them at all times, all the time. And for me, like, I always knew that was like, you shouldn't be doing that. It was just like, to me, I'm like, are you scared to like listen to the person inside you,
Mhm.
And to me, because I, to be honest, love sitting in silence. I can be in a room and just like be
Yeah,
inside my head, So
yeah.
for me, it was like that. It was funny. Like I've always had these little things where like I never fully understood it, but I knew I knew it was good, but I never tried to like learn how to harness it,
Mm.
or even understood how that happened. Like I was just like, oh,
Yeah.
it's good luck.
Yeah. It's like when someone's achieving results that you want to achieve, instead of asking them, it's like we want to ask like, how did you do that? It's not how did you do that? It's like, what are you doing differently?
Hmm.
Right. And I think it's really interesting too what you said, like people don't want to be alone with their thoughts, right? And um I have a mentor who I heard say this, and it's so true. And I say this to people all the time because it's true. I'm a mindset coach, and I have a mentor. I will always have a mentor because your mind is a scary place. You don't want to go in there alone because you're being run by unconscious beliefs and habits and ideas. And oftentimes, like if you don't have someone to bounce some of these ideas off or to suggest other ideas, you end up sinking with the fear and then you just stay there. Right. So, I was able to bounce some of my ideas off my mentor, and he suggested some studying and some things to look into, which I've been doing. And I've been uncovering more probably in the past week than in the past like year. And it's like it's kind of it's heavier stuff too, but it's stuff that if I didn't have someone to support me, that I don't think I would have gone in as deep, which means I wouldn't have the knowledge to be able to eliminate it so it doesn't happen again, right?
Or even just the misinterpretations that have happened from it,
Yep.
which is something I think we spoke about the last time. I think so, or maybe it was someone else. But we were talking about how, for example, oh yeah, we did. We were talking about how you think of mindset of just, for example, just thinking positively, and then you don't even take your reasoning into consideration because you just think, if I'm a positive person, everything will always go right. And then you go into like delusional land or something,
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's just very interesting how, I don't know, all these things come into play, right?
Yeah. It's interesting. I'm amongst other things, I'm studying a couple things right now, but I'm studying this essay, and I'm going to pull it out. I actually read it on a call, or on a call that I was on earlier today. And it's about attitude and really understanding what attitude is. And attitude is our thoughts, feelings, and our actions. It's our thoughts, feelings, and our behavior. And I used to think attitude was just like being happy all the time, but you need to be in what I call praxis. So integrating your belief with your behaviors so that your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions are all in alignment with that attitude, instead of just like, being happy and positive all the time. You have to make sure that you're lit, like all your whole being is like that, like you're integrating, like you're in integrity with it. And there was something really interesting in this essay, and if I can think of what it was and pull it out quick, I'll share it. But it's like our attitude controls everything, and our attitude is even a habit.
I was just gonna say that it's funny once you start actually digging into what a habit is, and habits are just everything almost, right? It's like the way you think is a habit, and you may have to change it.
Yeah.
The thing actually the habit is the thought itself that comes out in an action anyway. So
Yeah.
it is actually a thought, and
Yeah.
then you act it out. But it's
Yeah.
just interesting because at least for me, I always thought of the habits of the actual physical actions that you take, but when you dig in deeper, it's actually the thought that comes in, and it's like
Yep.
that's the initial part of it, and it comes out in an action, and then it's
Exactly.
even like, what is that thought that you have inside you that's making you take those specific actions?
Yeah.
What have you taught yourself, or even like that? Because I know there's like, for example, lots of people who go both ways when it comes to religions. You know, some people are very religious, others are very anti-religious. I've, to be honest, never been either way. Like I've always been like, yeah, religion teaches you, the purpose of the religion is supposed to teach you good. But then like that, reading this stuff, I started realizing that depending on who your teachers are and whatever it is, they can interpret it they can make the interpretations the right way, or it can come off completely the wrong way, especially when you're dealing like old texts, like doctrinations like that, where it's like how many thousands of years old, and the mentality was different back then, and then we're trying to interpret it now, and then some people will interpret like, and that's why you have so many different sects of religions, right? It's because everyone is interpreting it in their own way, what works for them, but at the same time, it may not, like, you may be interpreting it the wrong way.
Yeah.
And it's just very interesting, like how our minds work that way. And exactly what you're saying, like having someone else to help bounce off those ideas become very important, because even when we're doing our readings, like I'll think there's one thing I was thinking one way, and then all of a sudden Dave explained it, and I did, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, I was thinking completely different.
Yeah.
And I'm glad he gave that clarification, because my mind was just somewhere else.
Yeah. And it's interesting too, like, you could be watching this, be like, well, what does this have to do with real estate investing? Or what does this have to do with real estate? But it doesn't really matter what it is that you're doing. Habits are controlling your life.
Mhm.
So, as you know, I'm Diana's mindset coach, and, we have the same mentor. And, it's interesting. I have a new client, and she is, she's in corporate, and she has a lot of inner things, right? And she's like, how does this work for someone who has, is fixed, right? Like a fixed income. And I said, but because you're focusing on a fixed income, you're not focusing on what you want. So it doesn't matter if you are a real estate investor, a mortgage broker, a real estate agent, a salesperson, a stay-at-home mom, like whatever. It's all about your habits and setting a goal, and then determining what habits the person who has that goal and designing that, right? So if I look at the person that I want to be, I want to achieve my goals with ease and grace, right? And not by working harder. And I know it's possible because I've done it, and I see so many other people do it. So it's like, I know I can do it, but there's something in me, some habit in me still that I need to eliminate in order to, and to consistently have that ease and flow, right? Like it's interesting because now I look, it's like 3 or 4 months, or like just, and then I just drop, and then I come back up. It's like, well, I don't want to do those month drops anymore. It's like, I used to live in the drops, just to let you know. So, but it's really interesting. And it's like, now I know what I wanted to read from this essay. Success or failure as a human being is not a matter of luck or circumstance or fate or the breaks or who you know or any other tiresome old myths and cliches by which the ignorant tend to excuse themselves. It's a matter of following a common sense paradigm of rules, guidelines anyone can follow. The rules we talk about don't change. They apply to any situation under any and all circumstances. We never have to ask, I wonder if this will work in this particular situation. All we have to do is make those ideas our own. And we begin with attitude, and attitude is a habit, right? So it doesn't matter if where you are and where you want to go. You shift your attitude, you shift your habits. You can achieve any goal and work less. Like it's a fact. And and I'm going to continue to read because it's really good. We all want good results from life, in our home, in our work, and in all contacts with other people. So, especially for, investors, you're constantly connecting with other people, right? And, you know, for me, like if I have harmony at work and harmony in the home, like that's my goal. And the most important single factor, the most important single factor that guarantees these good results day in and day out, all the months and years of our lives, is a healthy attitude.
100%.
And it's a habit, right?
And I wanted to just add, and I guess give some examples of how this happens to real estate investors. And I think right now actually is a really great time, because right now there's a lot of fear in the market. Even I'm feeling it, like it's affecting me, where we're all thinking now in a scarcity type of mindset, like there's not enough money, lots of people are losing money, or we're thinking there's no deals right now. And I think, I was going through that problem a few months before.
Mhm.
And when we do that to ourselves, we're basically putting the blinders. Like if our mind is telling us we're in a recession, there's no deals right now, there's nothing going on, there's not enough sales, we put our blinders on to only find things that don't meet our criteria. And so we're just, all we're doing is proving ourselves right.
Yeah.
And so in it, we have to, like, that is change that, or question ourselves. I feel like I feel like being in mentorship, I've learned to like question myself a lot.
Yeah, it's
I feel
good.
like all I do is like, as soon as something happens, I feel like I go back, oh, why did that happen? What did I do? What was I thinking? Because you do start realizing that everything that happens in your life, it's because you have this thought in your mind, which gives you those blinders, and then you're only focusing on that. And that may not be the right kind of blinders to put on, like that. Like if I'm looking for properties, I want to find something. For example, like one thing that's happening right now, and I know I'm doing this to myself, is like, for example, I'm finding no private lend deals. Like, and I'm not even looking right now. I don't know still why I'm doing it. I kind of feel like I'm doing it because I want to go into bigger deals and I want to focus on bigger type things. But still, it's like, but I could probably find a really good private lend deal. But for some reason, like those blinders are hard to take off right now. like my blinders are fully on, like there's no private lend deals.
Yeah. So you just need to watch your thinking around it, right?
Yeah. Then it's like, and then I'm telling myself things, right? Like, oh, you don't want to put your money in private lend deals because there's some really good opportunities coming. So it's like, and then I'm just like trying to figure out, like, is that really what I want? Like, do I want to start just putting all my money into my projects, or do I want to have it like I did before, where it's like some of my money was going to private and some of them was going to like my projects, my actual projects. So it's just kind of like playing around with that, and playing around that with my mind, because it is I feel like recessions make things, you do feel like trying to neutralize yourself is a little harder, because the fear is so much, right?
And we live in a world where fear is just like, it's thrown at us everywhere, right? I have a couple other clients who are in real estate as well, and that's something that they said to me, and I said, well, do you still know people who are selling homes and achieving their goals in this market? And I think I said this to you too, right? You still know investors who are still achieving their goals right now? Yeah, well, they're no different. The only difference between you right now and them is the thoughts that you're thinking. And it's like, oh, right, because I'm focused on the fear. And like, unfortunately, like we live in a society that is run by fear. It's like run by, like, fear is so prominent, and you have to really start to question, okay, is this thought coming from fear, or is it coming from what I want? And when you shift to think, it's like, you know what? No, this is going to be a great stepping stone for my goal. And I know that there are private lenders out there. Like, I just have to attract them. And you just change the story, right? But we just get so tied into what's going on outside of us that we stop thinking about what's going on inside of us, and we manifest from the inside out. Right. So it's like, if you continue to focus on, there are no private lenders, well, guess what you're going to get. Right.
Yeah, no, 100%. But it's funny how things will also come to you, or like that. Like I've been trying to change that. And like, for example, like that 2 weeks ago, I met a person, he tells me the opposite. He's like, he has so many private lends going on, and And then you start telling me about all the other different strategies to look into, which now I'm like looking into, because like maybe change the kind of private lender I am.
Yeah.
But it is funny how things will also come to you, because like that, like I'm trying to change my mind to open up to the private lending again, and trying to reduce those fears, and trying to find a way to, make sure that I'm finding the right deals that work for me.
Yeah.
That
It's so interesting, but it's all in here, right? It's all in there.
and it's
And
like the battle, right? Mine's
the thing
like,
is, it's gonna be a battle that we're gonna have for the rest of our lives. So it's just like, you don't go in there alone, right? You want to make sure you have someone who's gonna be constantly like supporting you and telling you like, hey, are you making this up, or is this story serving you? Is this serving you in achieving your goals? And if it isn't, then you just change the story, right?
yeah.
It's not it's easier said than done for sure.
Oh yeah. And I feel like that, like knowing yourself well to help you pull yourself out. Because that is, for example, the kind of person that I am, is that I love talking to other people that are much bigger than me, have done bigger things. So it's funny how this person happens to come into me, and then we're setting up a meeting to chat and learn more about it. And it's just because that I know that's how I improve my confidence, is like talking to more knowledgeable people in that area that will give me the confidence to go and take the actions I need for, let's say specifically talking about private lending, to get into like the kind of deals that maybe different kind of deals that serve more in this type of environment. And it's funny like that, like things will come to me like, because I internally know that that's how I am, that I need like a knowledge dump. And then once I get that, it starts giving me that confidence that, oh, okay, I'm going to start looking for these kind of properties, or not even like finding these kind of brokers that will find me these kind of deals that I'm looking for.
And just by asking yourself questions, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It's a pretty good habit to develop, hey?
Yeah. Yeah, at least it does it for itself, right?
Yeah, for
It
sure.
was really funny just how it happened. I'm like, you do what? And it was even very, very strange, because I was taking a selfie pic with a friend, and this guy like photobombed, right? He photobombed it and then said that he did. I didn't even notice until afterwards. But I ended up meeting him at the end of the night, or closer to the end of the night, and we got to chatting. And I was like, "Oh my God, I'm so happy I spoke to you. We need to talk again." I was like, "I need to pick your brain."
That's so funny. I love
That
it.
is really funny.
I love it.
Any final words that you would like to tell the audience about habits?
The best habit that I've adopted and that I invite anyone listening to adopt is the study habit, and the habit of asking yourself questions, but doing it the first thing that you do in the morning. Because like we were literally just talking about, the world is run with fear. So if you start studying some really powerful information that's going to help you get onto a higher frequency so that you can attract your goal, help you set your attitude, help you discover parts of yourself that are holding you back, because that's how you're going to eliminate them, right? You have to discover them. When you start doing that in the morning, you shift your entire day. So if you can adopt one habit, I would say the habit of studying. So not just reading like a personal development book, but actually like studying and asking yourself a lot of questions so that you can really change and grow. And doing it in the morning, because you want to, again, kind of like you're putting your blinders on to all of the outside noise and just being able to like really go inside. And when I say like you can achieve your goals with ease and flow, that's what I did. That's what I was doing when that was happening, right? And it's what I'm doing again, and we're getting back on track.
100%. I love it. It's so true. And also, it just sets the tone for the day. If you set it off in a positive way, it is very true how it really just like helps the day go by a lot better.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Thanks so much for coming on. You always give such great insights to mindset.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, and I look forward to be back next month.
Sounds good. Thank you, Kayleigh. Thank you,
I
everyone. See everyone next month. Bye.